Hello, good morning, everyone. Welcome to another Well Coffee Chat. I've got, looks like the internet might be playing up again this morning. Anyway, it rains here and then the internet plays up. But hopefully you're all well, wherever you are. If you're online right now, let me know. Let me know if you're in the house. I got Danny there. Morning, Danny. I got Tim. Morning, Tim. And Facebook, you behind the veil. Morning, Kevin is there too. Morning to you, mate. Good to see you. Good to see you. While things are warming up, or it's trying to get itself sorted. You would think in this day and age, just things that just work, but you know, hey, it's a lot of details in there. Jeff's back in there. Good to see you, made it back, Jeff. Sharon, morning to you. Hope you're good, buddy. Hope you're well. Hope you're well. There's Connie. Oh, yeah, well, I just got a message. It says the internet's been restored here. There you go. Anyway, we should be back on track. Fantastic. Good to have you here this morning, folks, while we're getting ourselves a little bit sorted with any of our technical issues. Why don't we just do the quick warm-ups, the quick intros. If you didn't already know, Jason Witten's my name. Most of you know that, though. Most of you do know that. But if you didn't, hello, welcome to a Wealth Coffee Chat. What are we at about 10 past 8 each day? We get together and have a bit of a yarn, bit of a chat. Grab yourself a coffee or a tea, whatever you're into. And we talk about staying on track, keeping ourselves on track for our property investing goals, our property investing plans, residential property, buy and hold. Buy well, don't sell. Keep a good property for a long time. That's what we talk about here. And there's always lots going on. It's kind of like a thing the media like to talk about. It's certainly something the politicians like to gouge. They can't get greedy fingers out of our wealth. So for all of us, we need to make sure that we manage ourselves well when it comes to our wealth. And we need to make sure we stay on track. So there you go. All right. That's what it's all about. If you're new, welcome. Thank you. Good to have you here. Let us know where you're coming in from. So today I thought we would talk about something that's interesting, a 25% gap Anyone want to have a guess? If you're online and you can still hear me, because the internet's still playing up here. If you're there and you can hear me, tell me, what do you reckon? Morning, Justin. What gap? What is this gap? This 25% gap and growing, and the distance 25 to 50k and growing. That distance growing. What do you think I'm talking about when it comes to these things? This morning, have a guess in the chat. Chuck it in the chat. See if you think you might know while I get myself organized here. What gap do you think is going on, folks? Certainly has to do with the shortage of properties for sure. And certainly has to do with something with the CBD for sure. And it's a little something that is about the distance from our CBD, folks. The distance from our CBD. Let me see if I can get this. I had an update on the old what's the name? Now, you guys might have seen this before. I call this the proximity. The proximity of profit for when it comes to property. And for many of us, distance from the CBD. The idea that when we are building our portfolio, we have these two. We have these constraints. Well, usually it's the number one thing is a constraint of what, folks? What's the number one constraint or number that we as property investors often end up working with? Tell me in the chat. So you go and see the team, you go see a coach, you go see the team to help you get ready, you go see the mortgage broker or the bank or somebody. You always see a finance expert. Don't see just the bank because they're not on your side. But what's the thing that constrains us as investors? It's not self-imposed. It's real. What is it? What is the thing? So we go and we get ourselves organized. We get our borrowing power organized. Now, borrowing power gives us a budget, right? Gives us a budget. How much? Deposit, LMI, stamps, right? Exactly, Jeff. And you go, all right, what's my budget? And so depending on your income, depending on how much money you've got together, we go and have a look. And sometimes the yield helps for sure, Tim, for sure. But we get our finance organized and we get a budget. So let's say we've got a budget of 700K, right? So then from that, we've got a budget of 700K. What are the things that we want to, decide? And big picture. First, we want to have a look at, the location. We've got to say, all right, well, what state do we want to invest in? In that state, what city? And then in that city, how far from infrastructure? And often it's, CBD or, beaches or, employment or whatever it is, right? So we have these questions. All right, what location? What state? What city? And what location, distance from infrastructure do we want to be, let's say, in that city? And then after we sort of, we've got our budget, folks, and we've got our location, then what do we choose? We go, I would like to buy a house, a townhouse, or a unit, right? So it's kind of those three, right? We've got three choices and we've got to tick the box in the location. So 1, we get our budget done. 2, we choose our location. And 3, we choose the type of property that we want to buy. And sometimes the type of property might be based on a strategy. It might be based on, yield. It might be based on, capital growth. There's a few things, but this is kind of a big picture and you can tune it up, right? Tune it up. So what are we talking about? Jason? We're talking about this idea, folks, that is, if we are, let's call this 0 to 5 from the CBD, 5 to, let's say 5 to 15, and then 15 to, 35K, what does it look like? This is the distance from, let's say, I'm just going to use the CBD here. We've got a 700,000 budget. Let's go and have a look at, what we can buy. What can we do in that area, that location, that place? And let's just go through the 3 big eastern state cities. All right, tell me, Can you buy a house, folks? Can you buy a house? Play along with me, and we'll do Sydney. Well, this can be Sydney. What distance from the CBD do we? So, can you buy a house for 700K, folks, for Sydney? What are you going to get? Where do you got to be? How far away from, from the city do you have to go to get a house for 700K? Can you get a house for $700,000 in Sydney, folks? I don't know. I don't know about you. I haven't shopped around for a house for a while in Sydney myself, but I think the answer is no. Well, depends on how far you go away, right? Where do you have to go? You'd have to be in Newcastle. Yeah, I reckon Doll's house. Yeah. So let's just say Newcastle. 100K, folks. It's not even in the same town. You can't get one for 700K. This is Sydney, right? We're going to talk Sydney right here. So, what do you get for 700K? How far away from the city? Maybe, let's just say maybe you can get a bed sit. Let's say just, it's not even a one bed. Let's just go one bed if you're lucky for 700K. A townhouse, so this unit, a townhouse, you might be able to get one in Sydney, and I reckon you're certainly going to be 35 to 50K away, right? So, like, that distance, folks, for Sydney is, 30 to 50K, right? And in here, I don't even know if you're going to get you might get a one bed up, 5-8K from the CBD in Sydney. You might. Maybe tell me if I haven't looked for one bedders in Sydney personally myself for a little while, right? So let's have a look at another town, right? So you go, all right, well, let's have a look at Melbourne, right? Melbourne, Vic, Melbs. Let's have a look at the distance for Melbourne. Now, will you get something for 700K, a good unit in Melbourne? Yeah, you will. You'll get something. You'll certainly get a one bedder. You certainly get a one bed in the Melbourne, and certainly that 5 to 15K, maybe even 5 to 15K. You can get a great unit in Melbourne, and then you're looking townhouses out here. And then the houses in Melbourne, you can absolutely get a house, but you're a distance away. You're out that 35, you're that 35, 50K away from Melbourne, right? So, what did we just do, folks? What did we just do in Williamstown? Like, tell me, most of you saw our Williamstown launch the other day, right? What can you get? You can get not far from the CBD, Oceanside with views. It's a bit more, but tell me what did we get over there in Williamstown for our budget, for our 700 budget? You got a cracking one bedder if you wanted, and you could get yourself a two bedder over there. Williamstown, water, cafes, restaurants, walking distance. Melbourne, great value for an apartment, right? But a house, a bit further away, right? So let's go and have a look at Brisbane. Let's go look at good old Brizzy. Brisbane, what can you do? Now, Brizzy's changed a fair bit, but you go, okay, CBD Brisbane, not a chance you're going to get a house in for 700K. But where are you getting a house in Brizzy for 700? You're certainly going to be in that sort of, it's at 30 to 40K at the moment, but it's still damn fine. And matter of fact, a bit closer. We talked about Springfield the other day, right? We launched a deal in Springfield. I think that's 26K from the CBD as the crow flies. So you're getting, sub 700K, 26. So for housing, dollar per distance to the CBD, rental yield, big city on the eastern coast, Brizzy's got some great value in there. Townhouse, yes, you're getting townhouses in that sort of, 20 to 30K mark as well. And the apartment world, certainly in Brisbane, certainly the newer apartments are a little bit of a struggle. The second-hand apartments, yes, you'll get that in the CBD. So what's the point? What's the point of our chat discussion this morning, folks? The point is, where's some value and what's going on and what's this gap I was talking about. So, here's some data that's just come out not so long ago. The gap between folks, the gap between, apartments and houses is pretty large. It's, approximately 25%. So 25% gap. And certainly with the affordability, folks, the borrowing power, that's certainly making the world of investing, certainly if you're buying your own home, a lot of people are choosing to buy a unit, not only for price, folks, not only for price. What is the other thing that a lot of people are choosing? Because we all learned a little bit about the lifestyle we would like to live. Over the last few years, I think COVID taught a lot of people about, life is better when you get to, design some of your world a bit better. What else has been, what else drives this from a value point of view, right? And so if we have a look at some things here, the gap, the distance, the difference between capital city houses and unit prices. I mean, have a look at the gap or the price differential in places like Sydney. That's crazy, and if you have a look at, most of these places, you look up here, let's look at those top four. You're looking at Sydney, you're looking at ACT, you're looking at Brisbane, and you're looking at, where's Melbourne? Melbourne is down there, and you've got Hobart. I think it's Hobart. Why would they put no, that's not Hobart. It's Greater Adelaide. But, have a look at those three, folks. Some of those differences are kind of 40 and 50% in there as well. So what will that do? What is that doing? Well, depending on the distance, and Sharon nailed it right there, and also Tim, what other things are we thinking about? Well, we'll think about location, amenities, lifestyle. No one wants to, live 50K from the CBD where there's no shops, no schools, no jobs, and be driving if they can choose something else, if something else works, right? And that's the thing we all need to understand for the future for property investing and for our portfolios, folks. Yeah, exactly. Walk to the gym, those sorts of things. Now, the challenge, here's the challenge. Check out this, the land value. So, here's some of the other things that are going on too in the marketplace. Land values are going up. Actually, land sizes are coming down, which are pushing the average square meter up, right? So you have a look in 23, the square meterage all up, and that's understandable as well. But here's the big one, and this is part of the conversation today, is if you have a look at this 25-kilometer, this is the approvals increasing. 50Ks away, big increase. 40K away, big increase. 35K away, big increase. 30K away, big increase. So really, when you think about this, folks, the distance from the CBD where the approvals are now is, for Sydney and Melbourne, is a long way away. And you have a look at this, 75K away, but, it's 40, 30, 35, 40, 50K away. A long way away from the city. Now, what does that do? Well, it pushes, people into other spots. And if it's planned well, it's perfectly fine. But it's not something that, most people are going, all right, if I've got a job in the city, I'm going to go live 50K away and drive into the CBD every day. Whew, that's not going to happen. So we need to think about that as we build our portfolio, folks. We need to think about that as we build our portfolio. So away we go. I saw this the other day, which is pretty interesting. There's the distance from the CBD according to a census. Where do people want to live? They want to live really between, 10 and 30K from the CBD. That's kind of the sweet spot. But where's all the, this is between 10 and 30K, right? But where are they building, or where's the approvals? It's 30 to 50K. right? Kilometers away. So, that's something that, all of the developers should be having a think about. I saw this one the other day, which was good. How can we solve this? Here's an idea. There's a lot of spare bedrooms underutilized, unused for accommodation, right? And you get Muppets like Dan the disaster, down in Victoria, now going, we're going to charge for Airbnb, and all of these councils saying no Airbnb. Governments or governments, ATO does something as well. So we've got all this spare inventory. We've got all these spare rooms. We've got all this spare property that we could, if we wanted to solve this accommodation issue, there'd be a really easy way to solve it right now, right? So what happens if you rent your room out in your own home? The ATO goes, oh, hang on, you're earning income now, so we want to tax you. And depending on how you do that, you could, potentially have a capital gains tax now because you rented out your principal place of residence. Well, wake up, you Muppets. Why don't you make an exemption for owner occupiers? Even say maybe it could be for retirees. Like there are so many spare rooms around in the right locations, but these Muppets, aren't talking to the other Muppets. And, we could solve that. We could put 100,000 bedrooms up for people that could create income that doesn't affect their capital gains tax exemption. And it shouldn't. And we'd have bedrooms and we'd have accommodation right now. Like, there's an idea. Why don't we do that? No, because they're idiots. Anyway, that's my little soapbox moment today. But the challenge is, folks, you guys know the drill. Let's bring this home today. The commencements are down. Certainly, yeah, exactly. And the government have a problem because they're like a bunch of addicts, folks. Unfortunately, they're addicted, like they're on the crack cocaine of income from property, right? They are addicted to the revenue they get from property, and none of them have got the guts to change the model to make it better. Like, they're all cowards, basically. They brought in the GST, which was meant to get rid of stamp duty, and they kept it. Absolute scumbags. But anyway, I'm fired up today. Anyway, and you got stuff like Dickhead Dan now trying to gouge. And it's not the end of the world, by the way, folks. Dan's charging reason not to invest in Victoria, by the way. He's just an idiot. Go and cut politicians' pay by $1,000 each politician per year, and you make the same money, you Muppet. Anyway, there you go. Go and reduce the duty. Go and do something useful to motivate everyday Aussies to help out in the world of property investing, which we have done for decades. And those bunch of idiots now, they've ruined it so badly that the only people who are going to come in are big institutions, and they're not going to do it for free, I can tell you. Right? Anyway, there you go. What's the point? The point is, folks, there's a gap between apartments and houses, which means distance between where people want to live and what type of property they want to live in. What will that do for property investors? Well, for example, if you don't own a house within a 30K radius of a city, then I'd suggest you should go buy one, because it's just the ripple effect is important. Where's good value now? Brisbane. Where's good value for apartments? Melbourne. Sydney is starting. Actually, Sydney's got a few little opportunities in apartments in the new cities, like where they're creating new CBDs. Instead of traveling into that CBD, well, they travel into, Parramatta CBD, which is a business center, et cetera, et cetera. Think about that. Anyway, that's it. I'm done today, folks. Wealth Coffee Chat over and out. Yeah. Hopefully that was of use today. getting us thinking about what's going on there in the world of property investing. As always, if you've got anything you want me to have a bit of a wealth coffee chat on, put it in the chat. I'll review it later on and see what is going on. If you want to, come and join me tomorrow, folks. And we can hang out, have a wealth coffee chat. That's what we're up to. That's where we'll be tomorrow, folks. Also, on Friday, I won't be doing a wealth coffee chat. I'll be doing the Freedom Machine for business owners and investors. So track that down if you're keen on it. And I think that's about it. All right, folks, you guys be awesome. Be well. Remember, this thing's a marathon, not a sprint. Takes time to build a property portfolio. Don't get distracted with shiny object syndrome. All right, that's it. Stop rabbiting on, Jason. You're done. See you, folks. Have a good one. Bye for now.